Hi, my name is Emily Yang, and I am a fifth-year grad student in Melody Lee's lab, where we study antiviral innate immunity. In addition to being a graduate student, I'm actually also a graduate student mentor for the Undergraduate Research Center Sciences. And so I'm here today to record this presentation on how to get into research. And so today we're going to cover a brief overview of research at UCLA, how you would go about finding a faculty mentor and additional opportunities for undergraduate researchers. And pictured here is the office, the URC-Sciences office in 2121 Life Sciences. So what is research at UCLA? Well, undergraduate research at UCLA, at least in the sciences, is usually done in the lab of a PI. And so that's the professor who will teach your class, but they also get to run their own research projects as their actually main activity here at UCLA. So as an undergrad, you'll come in at an entry level. It's usually going to be a smaller part of a bigger ongoing project. And as a new student, you'll be supervised by a postdoctoral scholar. So that's someone who has finished a PhD. A graduate student, that's someone who's in the process of getting a PhD, or maybe another senior undergrad who has been in the lab already for a few years. There are a few reasons that you might want to participate in undergraduate research. One big reason is just to contribute to the body of knowledge in your field. You get to be on that cutting edge of science, right? You're discovering things that aren't in textbooks yet. You'll also be able to gain important skills and get that hands-on experience. It'll look really good on your CV and your resumes, make you more competitive for employment admission to graduate and professional schools. It also helps for you to build meaningful relationships and to be mentored. And that's really important, again, for those letters of recommendation if you're going to apply to different graduate and professional schools. It's hard for the professors to get to know every member of a 300-person lecture that they give, but if you're an undergrad in their lab, they'll definitely know who you are. Depending on your major, participating in undergraduate research may also be part of what you need to do to complete your degree. It can also help you to qualify for different scholarships and fellowships. So, research can take many different forms, and they're generally classified into these 4 different categories. Wet lab, and so that's what we refer to anything done at a lab bench. And so you'll put on gloves, you'll put on a lab coat, and you'll use like all kinds of, the things that you read about in science textbooks. Like you run a gel, you run DNA gels, protein gels, you use make buffers, use chemicals, drugs, all that kind of stuff. In a dry lab, so that's where you won't actually be doing any of that kind of stuff, but you'll run maybe computer modeling simulations, different programs. You'll be looking at probably big data sets in order to ask and answer your scientific questions. In clinical research, and that's done with partnership, usually through Ronald Reagan or Cedars Sinai, that's where you can conduct studies with patients, and usually by looking at patient data, sometimes by conducting interviews with different patients. And field work, which applies for a couple of different majors here at UCLA. So the marine bio major, and I think the straight bio major. That's where maybe you can take a field quarter abroad, be on a cruise ship, go into the desert, and where you can study a model organism in its environment. And so following that, you might be wondering when you should plan to start. So these are recommendations. They're definitely not firm guidelines, but they are pretty strong recommendations. So if you're a first year, we recommend that you give this freshman year of yours, time to get used to the quarter system. It's pretty fast paced. Time for you to just complete those lower division courses, explore different areas of interest. And then you can look for research opportunities in the spring or summer and start research actually in the summer or the fall after your first year. So that would be fall of your second year at UCLA. If you're a transfer student and you're listening to this, we understand that your time here at UCLA is much more limited. So we would recommend that if you want to do undergrad research at UCLA, that you look in the winter after your first quarter. Again, take that fall quarter to adjust to the quarter system, but you can look for research opportunities in that summer before you start, or the fall when you get here. Okay, so how do you find a faculty mentor? There are two options. One is the undergraduate research portal, which I'll walk you through how to use. And the second, which is probably more commonly used, is to contact faculty directly. There are some programs and internships that might directly place you into a project, like the biomedical research minor. And so those would be the exception to these two methods. Before you start thinking about contacting faculty, right? Think about what are you interested in? What topics are interesting to you? So think about the classes you've taken, maybe different readings you've done, maybe even like different movies or like culture things that you've seen around on the internet, like read different science articles by the Atlantic or anything like that. And yeah, think about what is really interesting to you. You can also talk to your TAs, which are usually graduate students, such as myself, and your professors about different areas of research that they might be involved in, that they might be able to tell you about their colleagues performing at UCLA. But yeah, just take that time, think about what piques your interest the most. So let's walk through the undergraduate research portal. So once you get to My UCLA, you're going to go and click on the academics tab in the top, along that top bar. And here you can browse active research opportunities. And so these listings, as you can see circled in red, those will list, those will outline information about the project. So who to contact, and what they would want you to submit, even, you know, what the employment period is, if it's approved for a different credit, when it's planned to start, how long it'll be, things like that. And again, these listings are really not comprehensive, but this portal is a good starting point to find different opportunities. So again, the second and probably more common method is to contact faculty directly. So to start with, right, you probably want to visit department websites where you can then browse faculty directories and record contact information of the faculty you want to work with. And as you can see, there are a lot of different departments here at UCLA. And within the department website, right, there'll be a tab usually up at the top where you can click on faculty, and it'll list all the different faculty and their different interests, generally speaking. And then you can click on the link associated with each professor's name, if there is a link, to visit their lab website. And so here we're going to look at Andrew Goldstein's lab, and he studies cancer biology, stem and progenitor cells, and metabolism. Once you're in that lab website, you can learn a lot more about that specific PI and the work that they do. You can click on tabs that might say something like research or published papers or something along those lines to see what work they've previously published. You can look and see whether or not they even have opportunities to join the lab. So like right here, there's one that says, oh, like who they're looking for if they have space currently in their lab. And you know, you can skim through some of those published papers. You probably don't need to read any of them really in depth. Just, you know, read some of those abstracts if you can, and familiarize yourself with their work and decide, okay, do I think this PI's work is interesting? Do I not? And decide whether or not you'd want to contact them. So a few other things to keep in mind. One is that you can work with faculty in any department. So if you're a psychobio major, you can go work with someone who's in MCBB. You can work with more than one faculty at a time on different projects, although that's not necessarily advised. Typically, if you're applying to graduate schools, they'd want to see you have more focused experience in one lab versus like very shallow experiences in a lot of different labs. Definitely meet with your specific department counselor about any kinds of research requirements for your degree, because some majors may have restrictions on, okay, if you want to get a departmental honors thesis, then you have to do work with only PIs in our department. I know that's the case for MIMG, but definitely check with your counselor and they will be able to advise you more specifically. So once you identified these faculty you want to work with, we recommend that you come up with a list of at least 5 to 10. Even more if you want to, the more you contact, the better your chances will be. As you're identifying them, definitely record their email addresses, probably make a few notes about what it is that they study. And then you want to prepare a cover letter. So that can just be the body of your email, a CV, which is like a resume, but includes relevant coursework. And then you email them. Definitely, definitely, definitely do not show up to their lab or office unannounced. Okay, so what goes into the cover letter? Here, you introduce yourself to the recipient or the PI that you want to work with, and you explain why you're contacting them. And again, this is going to be the body of your email. You don't need to include this. You don't need to include this as a separate attachment. So it's typically going to be 2 to 3 paragraphs. You're going to, include your name, major, year, and then reiterate that contact info and all that information in your signature line. Explain why you'd want to work with this faculty, talk about your goals and why maybe working on another project might be relevant to you. And really don't worry if you don't have really identified goals there. It's really sufficient to say, you're really interested in research and you'd really welcome the opportunity to work in their lab, and you think their work specifically is interesting because X, Y, and Z. You don't need to get really personal about, you have a close family member who died of cancer and this PI is working on cancer, and so you really want to work on that. Of course, if that's true, that's fine. But you don't need to be that personal or that effusive in this cover letter that you send to them. At the end of it, be sure to request an interview to discuss a potential research opportunity. You can even list several availabilities that you might have. For example, you can say, I'm generally available Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoons, and Tuesday, Thursday mornings. I look forward to hearing from you, so to speak. And so again, doesn't need to be very long, 2 to 3 paragraphs max, even one. These faculty members are typically very busy, and so the quicker that you can get to the point, I think the more that they would appreciate it and actually read your email. A few other things to keep in mind, you want to, it's a professional correspondence, right? So you have to use the appropriate language, titles, none of this, yo, Dr. So-and-so. It's like, dear Dr. Dr. Shao, Dr. Zach, don't use their first name, not unless they use it when they email you back. Make sure that you use proper font. You don't need to sign your name in italics and purple font or anything like that. Use proper grammar, punctuation. If there's any, blue or red squiggly lines under any of your words, you should definitely double check those words. Have a professional subject line. It can be something like interested in undergraduate research opportunity, something like that. Make it clear why you're emailing them, and definitely personalize your letter, right? You want to make it clear that you're emailing this faculty specifically. But again, you don't have to be like that specific, right? Because you're going to be emailing 5 to 10 or even more professors. So you can swap out probably like 1 to 3 sentences per cover letter and to be specific to that professor that you're emailing. Be concise, as I've iterated before. And finally, really don't worry about not having any prior experience. You're coming in fresh out of high school, you've never worked in a lab before, you've never picked up maybe a pipette, I don't know. That's totally fine. Most of the time they would rather have someone who has a blank slate so that they can teach you the right way, which is their way. And they really want someone who's interested and willing to commit that time. Okay, so in addition to that cover letter, you're going to have to send a CV or curriculum vitae. And so it's really similar to a resume, but it also outlines your professional and academic history, some experiences and skills. Typically, we recommend 1 page max, maybe front and back, but really I try to keep it on 1 page. You should definitely include your name and contact information, so that goes at the top. Any relevant coursework, so you don't need to include like GE classes you've taken, like mystics, heretics, and witchcraft, because in the sciences, they really don't care. But things like, oh, I took Life Science 7A, which is enlist the title of the course, because some of these professors might not be familiar with the actual course titles that go with the course the course catalog numbers. You can list any skills that you have. So if you've taken programming classes before, programming is always a huge plus. You can list any, you know, some of those languages that you might be proficient in, like R, Python, C++, any of those things. Definitely brag about yourself. Don't be shy. List any honors and awards, even the high school ones. That's totally fine, because again, you're pretty fresh out of high school. Yeah, and then we'd recommend that you save your CV as a PDF and then attach it to the email, just to make sure that if you have any, special fonts or anything, the formatting doesn't get messed up when they open it then. The URC-Sciences doesn't offer assistance with the CV and cover letter, but there are resources in campus that will assist you. So we recommend that you check out the Career Center, and you can check out that link here, or the Writing Center, which has specific undergrad resources. So you go through this whole process. You send your CV, you send this beautifully crafted cover letter, and then you don't get a response. What do? So first, be patient, wait about a week, and then send a polite follow-up email, usually something along the lines of, hi, just checking in. You can either like reply to your first email, or just send a completely new second email and say, hey, like, just following up in case you missed this first email. I'm still really interested in working with you. Please let me know if you have time to meet with me and discuss any potential research opportunities. If you're like really, really, really determined to work with a specific faculty, then wait another week and then follow up a second time. But definitely, again, do not show up in person to a lab or office unannounced. And if you don't receive a response, it's not personal, just move on to other faculty. And sometimes they'll email you and they'll say, hey, like, we're sorry, but we can't take you at this time. It's really not personal. It's nothing against you. Specifically, it's more a matter of, time and space. A lot of these PIs, they want to make sure that they're mentoring you well, that they give you a really good undergraduate research experience. And so if they don't have either the space or the resources, if they don't have enough available mentorship in the lab, then they won't be able to give you a good experience. And so they just won't be able to take you, and so be sure to thank them for their time and consideration. You don't want to just ghost them, and then just move on to other faculty. There's UCLA is a really big institution. There are a lot of faculty here doing a lot of research. Just be persistent. Okay, let's say you are offered an interview. Yay, congratulations. Woo. So be sure to confirm the date, time, and location. If it's through Zoom, as it is in this COVID era, be sure to ask if you should provide a Zoom link with or without a calendar invite, or if they would rather use their own link, you can ask, oh, is it more convenient for you if I send you a Zoom link? Or they might just offer their own Zoom link. If it's far away, send a confirmation interview to make sure that they remember, they put it on their calendar 2 to 3 days in advance. And if you're doing it in person, arrive early, maybe like 5 minutes, but don't enter the office 5 minutes early. Like, hang out in the area, just wait, and maybe knock on the door maybe 1 to 2 minutes early. But generally speaking, don't show up too early to an interview. Be sure to dress appropriately. For a lab setting, that at least means wearing long pants and closed-toed shoes, just in case they have the opportunity to take you into their lab to show you around, so that you're wearing proper PPE. You don't really need to dress in like a nice, suit and tie or anything. Just look clean, comb your hair, make sure you showered. Don't wear clothes with holes all over them or with lots of bare skin showing. Yeah. Be in lab safety equipment, basically, and look presentable. And also, have some questions prepared to ask. As much as you're interested in their research and whether or not your intellectual interests align with them, you also want to make sure that it's going to be an appropriate environment for you to conduct your research. So here are some potential questions that you might ask when you're interviewing with a lab. So, who will specifically be supervising and training you? how was this project structured, techniques and equipment, safety trainings, time commitment, how big is your lab? How many people do they currently have? Definitely ask if hours are flexible during exam season because you are here as a student first. If you fail out of UCLA, you definitely can't continue doing research in lab. You can also ask about what literature can you read to prepare to do research with this lab. So there are other things that you might ask, but here's just a starting place for you. Okay, so just to recap, the two different ways that you can identify research opportunities are one, through the undergraduate research portal, which you can find through My UCLA, and two is to contact faculty directly. And you can find faculty by browsing those department websites and then looking at their specific lab websites for more detailed information. After you do that, prepare that cover letter, CV, and then email, and definitely email at least 5 to 10 opportunities, if not more, to contact and apply for. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities for undergraduate researchers here at UCLA. I mean, we have this entire undergraduate research centers for the sciences, so lots of things. One thing is that you can do is to earn course credit. So lower division credit is called SRP 99. And so here you would earn 1 to 2 units for 3 to 10 hours per week. And you would indicate that already in the contract that you draw up, and that's through My UCLA. This is pass, no pass grading, and you can contact us for more information. Once you've been in the lab for a little bit, you can apply for upper division credit, and that will be major specific. So it'll be like MIMG 199, MCDB 199, yeah, things like that. And this will be at least 4 units, and you'll be required to work at least 12 hours per week. It'll be letter grading, and it's usually only for juniors and seniors, and definitely contact your department for more help. Okay. Apart from course credit, you can definitely get into different programs and scholarships, and these will usually offer academic, financial, and professional support. Here at the URC-Sciences, there are 3 main programs that you might want to consider after you've been doing research for a little while. The URFP, and so that's for more junior researchers, and that here you would apply in the fall. You get a $3,000 scholarship for 2 quarters of research. That's the Undergraduate Research Fellows Program. The URSP, that's Undergraduate Research Scholars Program. It's like the big brother version of URFP. And here you could get up to $6,000 in scholarships for 3 quarters. You would apply in the spring for the following academic year. And these scholarships are in place so that you can spend more time in lab, that you don't have to worry as much about getting a part-time job outside of your classes. This is financial support that goes directly to you. So you get the scholarship money. Another opportunity that's super awesome is a 10-week summer research experience funded through Amgen, which is a big biotech corporation. And you can apply for that in the winter for that following summer. But definitely check with the Scholarship Research Center, the FAO, and your own department for additional opportunities. You can definitely visit our website and to learn more about these and the other programs that we offer. You can also present your work. You can present your work at a conference, and by doing so, you'll definitely develop those scientific writing and presentation skills. You get to learn about other projects in the field, network with other researchers, attend seminars and panels. Here is an overview of what we would have at UCLA, this Poly Pavilion, in case you don't recognize it, but without the basketball court, or at least I think there might be a tarp covering it. And so that's Research Poster Day. And so we have, up to around 1,000 undergrads who come and present their research over the course of one day. And so you can see lots of people there. This is definitely pre-COVID, but we're hoping to bring it back someday in the future. If you've had an abstract that's accepted for a presentation that's like, not at UCLA, unlike this Research Poster Day, you can apply for a URC travel grant. Yay, money. So again, visit our website to learn more about these kinds of opportunities. There are also different research organizations and clubs for undergrads here at UCLA. The Undergraduate Science Journal is a super cool publication. where undergrads, publish their research, and it's a journal. Super cool. SACNAS, which is a society for underrepresented minorities and allies. Their City Lab, which focuses on bringing science programs to high school students in the city. And definitely visit this website, the Seoul website, to find a group to join. There are lots of other different research groups at UCLA, student research groups, I should say. And again, in addition to the Amgen summer research programs, there are a few more that we offer that would accept students without previous research experience. These applications usually open in the winter, so that's January to March. And as an umbrella, they're called SPUR, so that's Summer Programs for Undergraduate Research, and you can visit that website here. It's a consortium of 25 plus summer research programs at UCLA. You can check with your department counselor if there are any department-specific opportunities, and definitely consider doing some off-campus programs at other institutions. Those might offer funding for travel, for housing. It'll be a cool just to, get away from SoCal, or maybe be closer to home if you're from a different area for the summer. Okay, so if you're a pre-med student, you might also be interested, or not, you might be interested in research with the health sciences. And so if you're conducting clinical or non-clinical research with the UCLA Health or David Geffen School of Medicine faculty, if it's on or off campus, you have to receive clearance through UCLA Health Sciences volunteer program prior to beginning these activities. Now, this clearance process takes about 1 to 2 weeks, and your sponsoring faculty, that doctor, that PI that you'll be working with, will initiate the process by submitting those items to the Health Sciences volunteer office. You can visit this website, UCLA Health Sciences Volunteer Programs, for more information. Another medical opportunity is to do research at Cedars Sinai Medical Center. And so there are a lot of UCLA health faculty that work off campus at one of those locations. And if you're doing that, you're required to be enrolled in an independent research course. So either the SRP 99 or the 196, 198, 199, the upper division ones at all times. You're not allowed to begin your research activities until your enrollment is verified by the Cedars Sinai Research Coordinator. Now, I know that I've covered a lot of information today. And if you want even more resources, I would definitely encourage you to sign up for our mailing list. So you can scan the QR code in front of you, or just sign up online at our website, sciences.ugresearch.ucla.edu. And we'll be sending you information about any upcoming scholarships, programs, events, and resources. And so with that, I thank you for attending our workshop. You can email us at this URC-Sciences at college.ucla.edu. Definitely check out our website, but our staff is working remotely until further notice. So please contact us through the message center on My UCLA or by email. So thanks.